of Alliance, after those 5 minutes, they were so far behind they couldn't do anything. Everyone else from Fnatic just stepped up and won the game.
What do we think to pick some bans then? There are obviously a few, smaller changes in this one. Orianna, of course, did come through, got into the hands of XPK, was able to follow up nicely. A Zilean pick for Froggen, which for me, despite his early pressure, didn't give Alliance the power that you'd maybe expect them to have in the mid lane.
So it's very hard to judge the combo for Alliance because they felt so far behind. Not necessarily by the it wasn't the mistake of the comp. It was more the fact the fights they chose were very wrong and were taken at the wrong time. So you can't really question the comp and say, yeah, it didn't work out, the comp was bad, because if they had kept the goal lead, we might have stood there and said, okay, 3-0, last comp was great, and that would have been it. So we can't really question the comp here. It actually looked good on paper. It just didn't work out for them.
Well, it's blue side next for Fnatic.
No.
Let's go over towards our analyst desk to see how they figured out that match.
Thank you very much, D-Man.
Shit.
Yeah. Well, Fnatic is not out of this one yet. They pull it back in with not the craziest picks or the smartest pick in ban, but just comfort picks coming in.
I'm so glad you said that because I completely agree. I felt like games 1 and 2, while Fnatic, I don't want to say they were uncomfortable, they were a little bit of uncharacteristic champions. Soaz in particular, he's very vocal. He's not a big fan of tanky tops. You know, he's not a big fan of those frontline bruiser type champions, tanks rather. Going back to Lulu, despite it not being super relevant in the meta, he's super comfortable. He's got so much experience on that champion. Orianna for Peke. I mean, when does he not deliver on that champion? And finally, we see the Tristana coming out as well, as opposed to that Vayne. Could have happened game 1. Reckless gets it game 3, manages to pick up the win.
See, I don't think the picks matter as much as what you do with them, and I like that Fnatic had a plan, and they used Soaz's Lulu really well in terms of speed
What's up
ups.
to my
This is something
FPS?
I mentioned in game 1 that I would like Zilean to do more in that game, just speed somebody up and then they go for the engage. How many times did we see Reckless just storm forward, jump, and catch people out of position? Yeah, Froggen often had his ulti, but still had to blow it every time. And I really like the way Soaz took control of this game, both with his teleports, with the momentum, with speeding people up, flashing in. He showed that he mastered the champion because he cancelled so many dashes. Even Braum mid-air, he would just knock up with his ultimate. And Soaz is a player, like, if you look at the player cam, you can see how a game is going with some players. And Soaz is definitely one of them. He was all grumpy and moody, and then it starts going well, and he's sitting there smiling, and he just plays so much better game.
Yeah, so he did get going on that Lulu, and a lot came from, they got the standard lanes this time, and they had the superior matchups that went very well for them.
Yeah, I really like that they actually had the normal laning phase. However, it's still the same thing though. The vision control in bottom is not enough. Alliance was taking control of this game again. Shook is impeccable, goes up top, gets the gank off. Shook is basically playing in the enemy jungle all the time, contesting buffs at one point, like goes from this buff to the other one. But Fnatic held on, and then at one point they turned a switch, and from playing in the lead, it was shown that Fnatic can actually still play this game.
Yeah, I actually felt in this game, Fnatic made far less mistakes than in games 1 and 2. You know, those individual misplays and missteps. And I actually felt Alliance may have been a tad over-aggressive. They may have been a little too hungry. They had 2 fairly one-sided wins in the previous matches, so it could be a testament from that. But I do think less mistakes from Fnatic allowed them to survive longer, allowed them to come away less burned, if that makes sense, than they have in the previous matches.
You do mention overconfidence, and we're actually going to take a look at a replay because the Fischer was talking about those golden 5 minutes for Fnatic that got things going, and Krepo, you wanted to highlight this one.
Yeah, basically what's going to happen here is Nif is going to go for a play if we roll the clip right away. He's going to catch the Elsar, that's good, but there's a little miscommunication. Nif wants to go forward, Tabs wants to just poke him over the wall, gets Buster shut out, and basically Nif is too far out right now, forces Tabs to flash in, and then Soaz just instigates the teleport right here, and this is what Fnatic needs. Like, if they can't bring Rekkles to the fights, they might as well bring the fights to Rekkles, and that's the way they're going to win these games. And again, they're fighting around bottom and around Dragon, and that will give them an advantage and vision control, and I really like that Fnatic's actually doing this more, because back in the day, when the meta game, when you had aggressive top laners, you could trade a Dragon for a top tower and get some control in the top lane, but with all these like tanky utility top laners, I feel it's a lot better to invest all your attention and wards in the bottom side of the map around Dragon, around those objectives, and this time Fnatic did that eventually, but it still required a mistake from Alliance to actually get in that position.
Yeah, and those next few minutes, every time something happened, Reckless was involved as a central focal point for Fnatic. Again, stark contrast from game 1 and 2. He was split pushing on Vayne, trying to, or farming the side lanes on Vayne, trying to get to a relevant power point. On Lucian, he was unable to be the central focal point because by time they were starting to group, Alliance were too far ahead. So it was nice to see that when the drama and the action was happening, he was involved, he was picking up those last hits or the kill secures, and he managed to get powerful enough. Fisher said it best. When you go 5-0 before 20 minutes, you don't have a weak mid game because you're already in the late game.
Yeah, and by proxy, it was always Soaz coming down, because every time Reckles got a pick or something happened, it was Soaz just speeding up either himself or Reckles at the bottom side of the map. So Soaz really transitioned like that lead that he had in the top lane into a good teleport into bottom, and I really liked what they were doing, like the way they were playing their comp. You can argue whether you think the comp is better on one side or the other, but at least Fnatic knew what their comp had to do, and they pulled it out.
So let me throw this over to you guys. This time Fnatic had those golden 5 minutes, which allowed them to build up a very big lead, which maybe allowed them to make those little mistakes in the fights and in the communication they had before, but we couldn't notice it because they were that far ahead.
I would say that's a fair point. I mean, whenever you do build up a lead, whenever you do have an advantage, you can afford to have small mistakes and get away with them because of the advantage. However, I don't think the advantage was big enough for them to really do that. This time around, they just didn't make mistakes. Alliance in previous games that they've been behind, they fell behind to SK multiple times. They played passive, they played backwards, waited for the mistake and then punished. I actually feel like once Fnatic got that lead, they played more aggressively and they did move around that map, more so than what SK did in the semifinals.
At the same time though, Fnatic, they fell behind early again. Their rotations were good once they were 4,000 or 5,000 gold ahead, so they had enough pressure on Alliance to force them around the map, but before that, I still think Alliance is a smarter team and the better team, so next game it's going to require an instance like we had this game where Fnatic takes a huge lead early in the game, because otherwise I think Alliance is going to control the pace again, and this time they're not going to overreach.
Just also to be fair, to finish that point, excuse me, the laners were much stronger for Fnatic. Despite the fact they did fall behind and Alliance were a little more powerful, head-to-head lanes, stronger lane champions for Fnatic, and they get to a point where they can punish mistakes.
So in order to get to a game 5 here, so another Fnatic win, strong laners and standard lanes is the key, but they have to step up in those standard lanes.
Yeah, and please
Please.
place wards around Dragon. Please,
Wards
Fnatic.
win games.
Yes, they do, and they save lives. We're going to step away for just a minute, but when we come back, Fnatic has forced a game 4 in the finals as we get closer to crowning a champion. Stay tuned.
Join the party. That's going to be Reckless getting himself one kill. Gets the reset. Taps goes down. There's the rockets coming out from Reckless. He takes down one. Gets himself the reset. Nif's the next focus. He goes down. And Wicked now, the tankiest member, is just getting shredded down. Cyanide does go down to Frogger, but Reckless, he's back.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, this is not the perfect place yet. Can't believe that there are some guys hunting now. Nope. Oh well.
It's like it feels good because we were number one in the regular season. So if we can get number one in the playoffs too, it would mean a lot. And if we will come in at the best seed, so if we do well at Worlds too, we can go really big.
Welcome back to the 2014 European LCS Summer Split Finals. The record now stands at 2-1, which is still in Alliance's favor, but Fnatic, they came back very strong in that last match.
Yeah, they really punished Alliance for being over-aggressive. Not sure if they maybe...
Overconfidence, maybe?
Definitely overconfidence for those 5 minutes.
I'm standing still.
Hopefully now for
Wow.
Alliance, they figured out, okay, we have to play 100% focus all the way through here, otherwise we're not going to win. You're going to see Fnatic now with this win actually just going to take it and run with it.
Well, there was that big confident 5-man fountain dive at the end of game 2, and it seems like that confidence almost just went maybe even higher and moved them into, they took that into the third game. And now you have to feel that Alliance will have probably said, guys, we were too confident there, peg it back a little bit, play the game. We know that we've been much stronger in games 1 and 2. Game 3 fell away from them. I think we might see a change in some of the bans here as well, judging by how well and how confidently Fnatic played that. Maybe a Lulu ban. There's an Orianna ban come back up there against Peke.
I did just notice as well, you know, the last 2 games, we've had confident banter back and forward in the game client, talking about, you know, back and forth with each other. Nothing this time. Super serious, straight game on, instant lock. This time, a cog more for Reckless. They're taking it away from Tams at last.
Okay, so Kassadin is still open. This time around, Fnatic they want to first pick it because Tristana is open. It would be double AD carry for Alliance again against the Kassadin. So let's see if Alliance wants to play it and if they actually want to early pick it. I mean, they can take Tristana and Kassadin if they want to. Lee Sin is banned away again. Shuking over Kha'Zix worked out great for him in the early game. The last game here. They've been actually just waiting for Fnatic also to pick their support, and then Nif would counter it with whatever he had ready. If it's Nami with Braum. Let's see what Alliance wants to do. Doesn't seem like there's a Kassadin yet.
Not yet, but must be playing on their mind, so they leave it open to bait Fnatic into that one, and it looks like they will because they've locked in the cow and they've locked in Nami as well. So going for the support, and Wicked will take the cow again in the top lane.
Yeah, and they're not really showing anything at this point here. I mean, yeah, sure, you pick 2 very strong team fighting champs, but we see Nami all the time. Question is if Yellowstar actually does play Braum, or if he's gonna go for Morgana into the Thresh into it. Zillion support was what he played in game 1, and it seems like he doesn't actually play Braum. So gonna be hard for Yellowstar in the laning phase, as Nami is a lane counter to Morgana because you can break the Black Shield with your W, which is what you're maxing, and then you can then land the bombs, and you will also out-sustain her very easily. But let's see what Alliance wants to pick.
Yeah, will they leave that cast in? Will it just go unchecked the whole way through? Or will they take it? Tams found the random key, he's clicking away. discussions now between the two. Froggen still not got his hand on that board. Of course, Twitch has been very successful. Every time he's played, he's worked wonders.
Yeah.
A little stealth bomber maybe. Will he be paired with something?
And Alliance can still just pick 180 carry now and then lock in the jungler and save a potential second 80 carry. But if they do want to play double 80 carry and punish a potential Kassadin, they should lock in Tristana here, not the Twitch, and save that one for the last pick. So I don't actually expect him to do the double 80 carry comp this time around. Also because they don't have Braum, they have Nami as the support, not able to be the same kind of tank as Braum can be.
Fnatic themselves also not revealed too much until these final two pickups. Still looking for a top laner and a mid laner. So Soaz knows he's going to be up against Alistar in that top lane if they want to keep these lanes in 2 versus 2. Lulu for him last
See the
game
red
was
button?
the best that we've seen him play
there.
so far in this best of 5 by a
I'm a
country
bit
mile.
concerned
So
at the moment.
that may still be on the table, especially when you've got the Cogmore in there who you are going to want to protect later on.
Yeah, could definitely be an option also against Alistar. It's a lane where Lulu is gonna win and can keep pushing it down. Like against the Maokai, take the tower once again in a one-on-one. Because Twitch was locked in by Alliance, they lost some of the laning power they could have had with the Nami pickup. So it's not like Alliance has an insanely strong lane, bottom lane due to the Twitch. So we can see just standard lanes. Again, Fnatic, good lanes, especially the solo lane, as Lulu top lane, one-on-one against Alistar is going to win it and will be able to take the tower, even without any help from Cyanide.
Well, with the shield from Lulu and the black shield from Morgana, Kassadin is a risky option, but you've got the double resets as well, because the Kazak's in there where you don't even get a reset on. I guess it's effectively a reset of the ultimate, just zipping in and out. Yeah, a couple of seconds.
Imagine if it did get resets.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
it's broken enough already. Oh, well, I don't know. There's counters to it. It's not gone so well, but so far. Final choice. What is it going to be?
Well, definitely Froggen here thinking about it. Could go Xerath if he wants to have some long-range poke against this one, because there's so much kite from Fnatic's side. Fizz, it's going to be hard for him to actually get in and kill Reckless here. So thank you very much, Froggen. I'm glad we think alike. That's the thing about Danish people. We all think the same, man. Every single time.
Just that no one else can understand it.
Are we actually going to talk about the language again? Of the
No.
We have all agreed it is the most beautiful language in the world. It is special, but it's beautiful. Anyway, Fnatic's comp, same deal pretty much as the last game. We are going to look to kite, we're going to look to peel for 80 carry. We don't have any real engage. We have to land Cocoon or Morgana, yeah. Florian the Morgana here. We have to land a Binding or the Cocoon to really start the fight, so unless you want to speed up someone from Source here. Otherwise, it's going to be all about Alliance with the engage, and that's why Froggen in the very last pick here goes for the Xerath, because now he has the long-range poke, and he doesn't necessarily need to just engage in a straight-up fight.
Yeah, a lot of control coming out of Fnatic's team comp, that's for sure. Will it work? That's the question. Will we see Game 5? Game 4 will be getting underway in just a moment. Fnatic, a lot of pressure on this game. I mean, last game was immense for them, that's for sure. When the team fights, when the skirmishes were happening, going back and forth, could have tilted the other way, but instead, they came out on top. Now, momentum. Everybody talks about it. Is it a real thing?
I believe it is a real thing. I actually think that this game, it doesn't affect it too much. I think Game 5 is where, you know, the 2 games for Alliance, then 2 for Fnatic. I actually think that's where it really is strong, because Alliance are like, oh my god, we won 2 games at the start. We were fountain diving with 5 men by the end of game number 2, and now we're into a 5th and final game. I think this one is a lot more neutral, you know, kind of reset, if you like. But still, Fnatic have found the confidence of, okay, we've beaten them.
Holy shit.
Now once. We know that we can beat them. We're not going to get 3-0'd. This is their time to shine and give us a Game 5.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 4
Oh, this is
getting underway. Fnatic, the defending champions of European LCS. Can they hold strong and take it to a Game 5? Or will Alliance become the new kings of Europe and close out the crown and the #1 seed at the World Championships for Europe?
So again here, look for Alliance to get some deep wards in the jungle of Fnatic and try and go for the lane swap. Twitch is going to lose the lane straight up against Reckless here, or Taps is going to lose the lane straight up against Reckless, but once you get Blade of the King on your Twitch here, you can really start sneaking around here. We can get some kills on Reckless, shut him down. It's what Twitch can always do in the mid game. One of the reasons some teams like to pick him against these hyper carries, because he can punish them in the mid game. And you do see also Fnatic, they're expecting their invade, 5-man invade from Alliance onto their own blue buff to get the deep ward, so they're just standing there waiting for him. It's not gonna happen. Alliance instead actually just placed very defensive wards, and everyone is sitting ready and waiting.
Be a dangerous level 1 as well, with the possibility of cocoons and binding slow out of Soaz. And other side you've got you've got an Alistair in there who's always going to be a pain if you can land your pulverize. Obviously bubbles could be leveled up first out of Nif and stuns from Frog, so could be a messy level 1 if that were to all go down, but as it looks,
What? Jupa, you're 4
pretty
Alliance!
standard quiet start here. With
Oh my
2v2
god.
down the bottom lane. I say that, but Wicked they're doing this again. We saw this in game 2, I believe it was, from them, where they sent Wicked down
Okay,
to the
what
bottom.
do I do
See
here
who's
in
actually there at level
situation?
1. Also, give yourself a chance of maybe picking up a cheeky kill down in that bottom lane.
Yeah, definitely Valistar. I mean, they're level
This
1, and you
way.
have Bubble from Nif as well. You can lock
Stay
down a
on.
target for quite a few seconds here. But it seems for now, they just want to check with Wicked. If they don't like what they're seeing, they can always recall and go to the top lane, where Source is already waiting. So they're going to see Reckless now. They know down this bottom lane. It's going to be dueling from Fnatic, and Reckless is going to face check.
Oh, he's going to face check. The bubble catches on him. Have they got the damage? There's the
done,
pulverize.
he's done.
Black shield being used, but it's not enough. And Wicked gets first blood for Alliance.
And that is a very, very good way of winning your duo lane. Get there early first, but level 1, no experience for Reckless here. He has to run from base now. Nif and Taps are gonna hit level 2 way before Reckless can do anything, and then just start,
What?
or at least try
Where is
to
he?
zone him out and deny as much farm.
That means that Wicked's going into this top lane with Doran's ring. I'm not sure why he was trying to pulverize there with the crystalline flask as well, so should have the sustain to get through the constant harassment that Soaz should be throwing his way. Meanwhile, this mid lane is a very kind of long-range, safe farming lane from both of them. We've seen that Froggen, incredible Xerath player. See how that one all works out. The junglers as well. Shock had a fantastic start to game number 3, actually, but they were unable to turn that one around and get themselves into a winning position. We'll see if he can do a similar thing here today. Zeke's got decent amounts of mobility in that middle lane. The top lane again, though, is where he tried to prey on Soaz last time. Cyanide actually coming up will, in fact, be revealed. There's a ward already down there from Wicked.
Yeah, and Wicked is a pretty safe tanky target. Peke getting focused on good damage from Froggen early on. We saw Froggen, of course, was pretty low on health himself. Just had to chug through those health pots. See if he can
Speed
land
of
once
this
again onto
motherfucker.
Peke. Now that he's 3, he's got his stun. And if it catches on towards Peke, it will do a lot of damage. Bottom lane pairing. It's actually level 3 first for Yellowstar, because of course he was the one that stood around on his own for a long period of time. Now Reckless hits 3, and it's actually Fnatic that are starting to push the advantage in the bottom lane despite that early loss.
Well, again, they do have a very, very strong lane composition, especially against the Twitch pick from Tap. So while we had a good start for Alliance in the bottom lane, they still knew once Reckless and Yellowstar actually came in, they would be able to push it in. So a lot of farm here they have to pick up
No.
under the tower
Damn.
while they take some poke damage. If you get a binding in your face, I mean, you're gonna take quite a lot of damage.
Binding does come through, doesn't land though onto Tabs on the backside. That turret though taking a lot of minion damage. And attacks from Reckless will also be coming in. This mid lane still in favour of Xpeke. Froggen just going to push that one up once again. Chuck, meanwhile, on the top of his own jungle. We'll see if he actually decides to try and make his presence felt. Of course, they got first blood in this top lane in that last game where Soaz was so far away from his own side of the map that he just said, okay, I'm not even going to bother to flash this one. They've got me. Cyanide, though, is waiting for an opportunity in middle. Or not.
Well,
Thought about it. It's thought that counts, that's what I hear. He's going to back away instead, though. Froggen keeping up well, but it's Peke. Look at the farm he has yet to go back. Now they are both heading off. Chalice probably going to be picked up by both of them as they reach the same gold limit, but with that gold advantage over the minions, it may well give Peke the edge, and he does go and get himself the pink ward as well. Peke, Froggen, sorry, cancelled it. Cyanide's going to try and sneak in towards this push and see if he can try and make something from it.
But it's the same deal for Fnatic now as in the last game where they got standard lanes. They once again picked some very, very strong laners who are supposed to win on farm against all the lanes from Palance, and they're doing a good job actually pressuring all the lanes, getting all the farm advantages. And in this mid lane, like Ziggs against Xerath, the thing about it is we saw a moment in the European LCS where teams stopped picking Ziggs and they went Xerath every single game. And simply because most of the mid laners feel like Xerath in the late game, like in the team fights, it is easier to get all your damage off compared to something like a Ziggs. But that's all about the mid laners and what they like to play. We have seen a lot of Ziggs still in the last few weeks. And of course, with two great wave players in the mid lane, we might be in for a long one.
Ooh, look at this. Not towards Peke. They'll get the slow on him. Should though. Discovered will just launch himself away. He's hit level 6, as has Froggen in that mid. So keep your eyes on any long-range potential fights that may come out from these, because there's bombs and right the arcane have a very long-range artillery.
I think Chuck's position there might have just saved a dive from Fnatic onto Alliance. Peke started to walk down. Cyanide was hanging around as well. They seen Peke going down there to maybe throw the Mega Inferno bomb down, and in the end, Peke backed away. Cyanide then left, and that bottom lane remains quiet. Funnily enough, with Tabs still having a bit of a CS lead coming in, but again, that'll be all neutralized with the wave pushing their way. And I think this is just Alliance saying, let's push this out
I
as
want
fast as
one
possible. We wanna go
more
home and
piece of
actually
loot.
spend
Then
some of that
I
gold that we
am
got early
satisfied.
on after getting the first kill.
And in the quarterfinals where Super Hot Crew played Twitch against Rocket, they actually did the thing where once the bottom lane was in a bad position and they couldn't really farm, they would recall with Twitch and go top lane and do like this sneak gank from base. It seems like Tabs is not going to do the same. They want to leave all this farm for Reckless again. Fnatic is running a comp where it's going to focus a lot on Reckless being very strong in the late game. He needs to get the farm, he needs to get the kills. Otherwise the comp might end up lacking damage looking towards late game. Not saying Ziggs doesn't scale really well either, but...
Speaking of strength, Wicked in this top lane, falling behind in farm. Of course, he was a little late coming in there. Did get himself first blood, but it is so as, of course, the old lane bully Lulu. Still doing a great job despite the small changes. Sure, taking that red buff, we'll see where he goes. Was pivotal in a lot of the early damage, and again evolves his wings at level 6. Sticking to the old career meta now.
He just wants to be able to get early resets, and he wants to be able to gank more effectively, to be honest. He wants to jump in, get a kill in these ganks, and look for these skirmishes instead of just straight up running in for one guy. He's ready to counter gank if Cyanide goes down to one lane on the least, and he's there to just pick up multiple kills and win the fight.
Let's be honest, by doing that, by getting those resets in there, can mean the difference to maybe 1 kill to 3 kills, and then you can really start snowballing forward. Froggen's just been back and picked up the workings of that Athene's Unholy Grail. The Fiendish Codex in there. Actually, nothing for Peke on the Fiendish Codex side, so I'm guessing he's got a bit of gold in his pocket. Alliance, meanwhile, have started off Dragon, but I think they might be pulled away from it. I mean, they are level 6 here, so not exactly super low level at this stage, and there is a Dragon gonna be picked up. The smite from Shook comes out solid, as it has been this entire best of 5. Early Dragon control for Alliance.
Yeah, that was a little bit too easy to just walk in and take the Dragon. I mean, Sana was in the top side. That was the reason they started the whole Dragon here, but their reaction from Fnatic, they didn't move in time to try and push them away, and at the end up, just by the fact Sana showed himself in the top lane, instantly they lost the Dragon. And yeah, as you said, every single game, Alliance gets the first Dragon.
And it showed the control, because Wicked was halfway down the river and just turned around and went back and said, no. You can see Cyanide is up here. They saw him vision, so it's like, well, this is a safe Dragon. We got it secured. Wicked just toying with Soaz, headbutting them away. Not going for the combo, just a straight headbutt. This mid lane battle. Yet to see too much aggression there, as Peke will get little explosions. Luckily kept backing away. Froggen bullies him out of lane. Froggen, of course, on Xerath wasn't too successful. It was the one game they lost, I believe, against SK where he picked it. Didn't work out too well. Of course, it was a fairly immobile target. I believe that was against an Ahri, bottom lane. 3 members of Fnatic pushing in. Froggen is making the move downriver.
What's he going to be able to pull off? Nothing.
Nothing.
See
It's like,
coming.
yeah, no.
I mean, if you look at the bottom side of the map there, it's all blue wards. Fnatic have complete vision, and there is the Wicked going super aggressive with the flash. He's going to knock Soaz back. The wild growth was already used. Soaz now, with that, decides to actually turn around the damage. He needs to be careful, though, because Shook's there.
Oh, stealth.
Oh, he did. He pressed his ultimate to get in, but Didn't actually able to pull that one off. There's the ulti coming out. Froggen really giving Peke a hard time in mid.
Froggen, after he got a few levels, went back to base, got his chalice. He's just been dominating the mid lane, to be honest, constant pushing his Peke away. Down his bottom lane, Shook showed to the top side, and Sana had already walked down to his bottom lane, like Rocky with his Elise, and just pushing down the tower. So Fnatic, while they did lose to Dragon, picked up this bot lane tower instead, and have actually been dominating the side lanes. And this top tower is always taking some damage as well, because Source just keeps pushing it into the tower.
Got to be careful though, look at the river. Cyanide moving up behind him, but as soon as he sweeps out that bush, he spots a ward and gives a little bit of coverage, and Froggen, it's a little poke on him, doesn't quite land it. He's going to back away. Top lane, Wicked, building up towards that Trinity Force once again, a little delayed in his build, so as this time around he's going to go Athenes as opposed to Morel. Nomicon he's been built in a previous matchup, doesn't really need that one. Trinity Force well